This is The Tea Project with your host, Gadiel and Michelle, a husband and wife duo where they will be discussing countless topics such as parenting and marriage, personal finance, managing a household, personal and professional development, and so much more. Gadiel is a father, husband, a military veteran, and a lawyer. Michelle is a mother, wife, boss, and above all, a productivity enthusiast. Each week, they will be providing you with fresh and valuable content, so stay tuned. And now, welcome to The Tea Project.
Hey, folks. Welcome to another episode of Tea Podcast.
Hi, everybody.
Hope you guys are doing well.
All right, so today's episode is going to be on what are our favorite books.
Well, I wouldn't say our favorite. It's some of our favorites.
Okay, some of our
list
favorites.
is long, you know.
Well, but what are your recent favorites? How about that?
Okay.
Most recent favorites. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first. My first one, and it's a I would say recent. It's not the current one that I'm.
Hold on. First, let me ask you this: what types of books? What's your genre?
It would have to be personal development.
Okay.
I mean, most, if not all, is that nothing against all the other genres, fantasy and all that stuff. I like to watch those on TV, but not to read it.
Okay.
To read it, it has to be personal development. I engage more with those books. I find it intriguing, you know. So we'll start first. In no particular order, the first one is Think and Grow Rich. It's one that I've read. It's one that I've listened to. It's one that I've dissected. It's a very popular book by Napoleon Hill.
Do you remember, what are they, 7?
I think it's 11.
Or 11?
Yeah. I think
Do
it's
you
11.
remember any of the...
Actually, you know, it's either 11 or 12, and I think there's one that it's like that is like a maybe, and it's the one that they talk about hold any type of refrain from doing any
that almost sounds like stoicism,
like sex. Basically, it's what it says.
Oh yes,
refrain from doing that because that energy
will take
you're losing it.
Yeah.
And sorry, folks, it's not that I was trying to think about it.
You could have said intimacy, babe.
Intimacy. I mean, I'm trying to keep it PG because I mean this is a family podcast, so I was thinking about the right way, and my wife put me on the spot. So anyhow, so look, Think and Grow Rich. I will sum it up in a couple sentences. Basically, your actions follow your thoughts. Think and Grow Rich. The title specifically is geared to success.
In that book, like one of the many highly recommended, highly read books.
Yeah, it is.
I hear
it
a
is.
lot.
It's one of the top 10 personal development books. Always.
So that book I actually have too, and I had started to read it. Actually, I started to read it when I was on the treadmill. Or I was walking on the treadmill,
right.
Obviously not running. But I couldn't get through the end of it. And now looking back, I've kind of been able to identify what books need to, like, I could read, like, physically, tangibly read a book.
Yeah.
I think that kind of book needs to be listened to on Audible.
Yeah, probably. It's very long and
Mm-hmm.
deep, and after a while, I mean, it may put you to sleep.
Yeah, I think I still have the bookmark midway through the book.
Yeah.
It was good, but I kind of would have to start all over again with it. But it is highly recommended. For
sure. So remember, this book summed up in one line: your actions follow your thoughts. And to add a Bible verse to that, it's Romans 12:2. Be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So it goes to sort of like Think and Grow Rich, that your mind is what needs to be sharp.
Mm-hmm.
It's your mind.
Yep.
So what you think it will become.
All right.
So that's
another
mine.
one.
Here, you go ahead. You go ahead and.
Well, mine are kind of in groups.
Okay. Give us.
So. You sure you don't want to go?
I'll go first because I think you're gonna blow me away. So I think because I see a lot of a long list and I only have a couple things, So
Put you to shame.
yeah, you're gonna put me to shame. Another one that I like very, very much, and I follow this person, this entrepreneur. I found him online. I follow him online on Instagram. Is Grant Cardone.
Oh, the 10 times rule.
The 10 times rule. Or the
Okay.
10x rule, the 10 times rule. That one, and I follow him in particular because his content, I relate to it, is real. I find it very gritty and just real, not phony.
So that book is interesting. I read it or I heard it on Audible. I can't remember which one.
Audible, maybe.
And what's interesting is when you were studying for your bar exam.
Okay.
I was studying for my, at different times, I was studying for my CPA exam.
Yes, I know where you're going with this.
And the whole thought process of
100%, man.
yeah. So, okay. When you're taking, and I'm just going to speak for test taking, but this can apply to just about anything.
100%.
Anything that you want to apply yourself to. So to pass my exam, I can't remember yours, but to pass my exam, I needed 75 score.
Right.
And I can't tell you how many times I sat for that test. That could probably be another episode right there. But
it is.
I think that obviously going back to the other book, it's mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And after sitting for the test a couple of times, and then finding myself in a position where I had to pass the test in that short period of time because there were going to be changes to the exam.
Right.
I had to change my mindset to be, I don't need a 75 to pass. I need 100. So obviously you're not going to get 200 because the limit is 100. You pass and that's it. They're not going to give you extra points for getting 100.
Right.
So in doing that, that's what made me pass with 85s, with 80s, and even some 76
Right.
to say, I can't remember which one, but maybe I think I might have gotten a 76 in there and I just barely made it.
See, and this is where the heart of the book is. The heart of the 10x rule is that it's exactly that. And I went through it too with the bar license. It says here, basically it says, set targets 10 times greater than what you think you can achieve. In Michelle's example, she had a score 75 on, I think it's all 4 exams, right? All 4 parts, each exam. So she had a score of 75. If you only set your target of 75
to the minimum,
you may reach it. There's a high chance that you may not, because that's the highest. However, if you set it past it, not 10 times past it, but 100, 150, even though the score stops at 100, you're more likely to pass your limit, your goal of 75.
Right.
And that's the heart of this book. The second part of this book is not only set your targets, but also one part is the setting the target and the other part is taking the action. So the book says set targets 10 times greater than what you think you can achieve, and then take action 10 times greater than what you think you can achieve or you can achieve. So in your case, when you were studying for the exams, it's one thing to set the target higher than 75, but you also got to do the work.
Absolutely.
So the studying you had to do it 10 times greater than what you would normally set it at if you're just trying to get 75.
And to add to that, the key in that is repetition.
Quantity.
Yes.
Quantity. Volume.
Yeah.
It's not so much about the scores.
Do
when
it
you're practicing.
over and over and over and over and over and over.
And folks, I have a personal experience as well, which could be another podcast. We can do another podcast of studying and taking exams.
Let's get through
and
this
failing. I took the bar exam several times, the Florida lawyer exam, and failed several times. And
here you can give me credit for that one. Don't give me credit for anything else, but give me credit for that.
So let me give Michelle quickly give her credit. I failed. I took the exam several times and was either at the mark or just below it. And then she said, "Listen, if you want any chance of passing, you have to do the 10x." And she basically said the 10x without telling me about the book.
But I didn't even know about the book at that time.
And she didn't even know about the book. It might not even been written either. This is a few
maybe
years back.
not. But it's
many
something
years back now. Think about it.
it's not that I read it in books. It's not anything else. It's the experience that I gained from sitting for my exams that I was like, oh my God, I could have passed this test way long time ago if I would have just changed my mindset.
Right. So that's what happened. We set the target 10 times greater, and then we take the action 10 times greater.
Yeah.
So that's that book. You want to share one, or I keep going?
Keep going.
Okay. So one book that I read, not recent, many years ago, is The Art of War by Sun Tzu. They sell it in like every language you can think about it. It's a small booklet. I have mine somewhere. I probably lost it.
Is that where you kind of like look for people's weaknesses?
Exactly.
Okay.
And one of the main things that Sun Tzu says in this book, and it's a very old book that's been used in business, it's been used in war, it's been used in negotiation. The concepts have been, you can apply to marriage, relationships, to anything. And if I read the concepts, I can pretty much tell you, like I do some of those, we do some of those in our relationship. But one of the main things that it says...
Look for each other's weaknesses?
Know when to fight.
Okay.
So one of the main things
battles.
is pick your battles. Know when to fight. Fight when you're strong, and avoid fighting when you're weak.
Okay.
You fight when you're weak, you lose.
Now I know.
Now those are concepts and principles. We can actually we can get into give you a scenario. I mean, I go through these every day at the office as a lawyer.
Nature.
By nature, but just by trade.
Mm-hmm. By trade there.
Going against other attorneys, and it's art, man. It's truly art, and it's the art of war. But we'll leave that for some other day.
Okay.
So that's The Art of War by Sun Tzu. The next one is Never Split the Difference. JP from Paragonza told me, hey, you got to get this book. And I did.
Has it helped you?
Oh my God. It's incredible. Anybody who's in, and this is another art of war.
All right, but give me an example of where you've applied what you've learned there.
Work. Same thing.
So give me an example.
Okay. So I'm going to give you the principle, and then I'll tell you how I applied it. A principle is negotiation begins with listening. Now, it's deeper than just listening. It's you sit down, you listen to what the person's saying. I'll give you an example. A client comes in the office, and they're giving you information about a harassment, an issue of some type of case, some dilemma that they're going through at work, because I do employment law, and so they're giving me their scenario. Hey, what's going on? This and that. My employer, my supervisor is doing this to me. But they'll tell you all that, so you have to listen. But what's super key is what they're not telling you. And most of the time, what they're not telling you are the things that can implicate them in some type of wrongdoing.
Right. Because you only want to say things that'll favor you.
100%. And that's why it's important to listen to what they're telling you, but most importantly, what they're not telling you. That's one principle of this book. The other one is mirroring. You mirror the emotions of the other person.
Mm-hmm.
So then you can sound relatable to that person. So if somebody is telling you that they've been through a certain thing and you've been through it, you got to communicate somehow that you've been through it.
Mm-hmm.
So they can say, he understands.
Right.
Because you truly don't understand someone else unless you've been through what they've been through regarding a particular event. And once they know you have, you know what? This guy gets it, or this lady gets it.
Right.
So that's in the book. Incredible. Yep. And that's the 4 I got. I don't have any more. I mean, I have more, but you have a list there. And if we don't get your list, I think we'll be on here for another half hour. So
no, mine are quick. So years ago, I was reading fiction, and it wasn't a lot, actually.
Very
it was
true.
Just 2. Mm-hmm. And they were both Nicholas Sparks.
Right.
The Time Traveler's Wife. I loved that movie.
It is a good movie.
And then when that you and I had seen the movie after I read the book, like we purposely watched it, was The Best of Me.
Okay.
And the funny thing is, I think we had seen the movie before.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't realize that when I got the book and I read it, it just seemed so like deja vu.
Right.
And then when we saw the movie, we were like, wait, we've seen this movie before.
Yeah, that's the one where the that someone dies in it, and then they left property or something like that.
Yes.
Okay, that is a good movie, man.
Yeah,
that is a really good movie.
So that was those maybe 2 nonfiction
Okay.
fiction. I always get them confused.
You want to know something funny real quick? Nicholas Sparks. I always thought it was a guy, a woman, and it's a guy.
No, it's a guy.
Incredible. I never thought that.
Nicholas, babe. Really?
I mean, but
Nicholas.
the movies
It's not
were.
Nikki.
I get it. I know, but the movies were always so a certain
He was
type,
a romantic.
super, and they were done well.
The Notebook. That movie you got me on, and that's another.
But they're done so well that I just
know.
didn't think that a guy can do it.
They're
It's silly of me to
tearjerkers.
think that, but and then I saw a book of him
Teach you
with
a thing
a
or two
picture
there.
of him, and I said, "Oh my God!" So,
Okay, so let me get
anyhow,
back to my.
go ahead.
Because here we are. Anyhow, one other book that I read that I think it's nonfiction. See, I need to write this down. The Secret Lives of Wives.
Okay, yes, I've seen this book laying around here.
It was good. I liked it because it gave you a perspective, different perspectives of women, married, girlfriends, engaged, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And just what it is to go from the stage of dating somebody to being with someone for the entirety of your life,
Right.
and how they persevered through.
Right.
You know?
Interesting. Interesting choice of words, by the way.
It
Persevered.
because marriage is hard work.
It's
It
work
is.
for sure. No question
And
about it.
it's interesting because when you meet somebody, you're like, oh, you're so infatuated, and you're like, this is the love of my life. And I'm not saying that that's not what it is now, but it's not. Definitely, it's not what we imagined it to be. Say 12 years ago, 13 years ago.
Right.
You know, but that's good though, because at the end, whatever you expected, you got something different, and we've grown together, and there's changes that we go through, and we've learned to
We've grown
evolve.
together.
We've grown together.
Yeah.
But it's a good book. Highly recommend it. So it's called The Secret Lives of Wives.
Now, who should
by
read that book?
Women.
Oh, that's not.
Women.
That's not a book for guys.
No,
Okay.
it's really more women. How do women just
Deal with the changes.
navigate
Navigate.
through relationships, just
Gotcha.
relationships in general.
Who wrote that book?
Iris Krasnow.
Okay.
Krasnow, yeah. And she has another one. I haven't read it yet. It's called I can't remember. Never mind. We'll
come
pass
back
that
to
one.
it. We'll come back to it.
Okay, and then now recent books that I've read, and these are self-help books. Highly, 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 highly recommend Atomic Habits by James Clear and Deep Work called Newport. That's who wrote Deep Work. And these two books are just how to establish habits, like simple principles. And I talk about this in how to build good habits. There's a blog. We'll leave the link for that one. He breaks down, the two pieces, the temptation and habit bundling, I think it is. Can't remember what it is. But it is just two techniques.
Habit stacking, and temptation bundling.
Yes.
Right.
See, you've been listening.
I've been listening to you. I haven't read the book,
Yeah.
but I know you talk about it.
Initially, I started back in December, really focused on my my habits, morning routine and my evening routine, and I definitely got to get back into that again because I kind of fell off the wagon.
You've been sick for a bit.
Since I've been sick, yeah.
Yeah.
But those books are good. Deep Work is just when you've got a goal in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's say you want to write a book. This is a perfect example.
Okay.
You want to write a book and you're like, how do I find the time? What do I need to do? So then you come to your house and then you're sitting in the living room, but your kids are running around. So how are you supposed to focus? So deep work, you have shallow work and you have deep work. It's shallow work is like looking at your emails.
Right.
And then answering back to emails. Deep work is where you can literally sit down in front of a notebook, a computer, a book, whatever it is, and genuinely just go 30 minutes, if not more. And nothing else.
Be immersed into that.
Exactly. Nothing else is distracting you, and you are just plainly focused.
Right.
So the few things that come to my mind is assign places to the tasks that you need to do. So I believe it's the writer. He says he has a desk where he has his laptop. Sorry, no. He has his laptop for writing. Doesn't use his laptop for anything else. He has his tablet for reading. Does nothing else with it. And then his phone's for checking emails and things of that sort. So if you're trying to focus, your phone goes away, your tablet goes away, and that's it. You're just on your laptop. And then the other thing that he said is sometimes the change of scenery helps you in focusing. And it's so true because when I was going to school, I could easily
give the scenario on work now.
Where
you change office. And it's
it's
a different scenario, but it's the same job, same everything, same
job,
position.
same everything. We're in the middle of restructuring or rebuilding. What is it? Remodeling the office.
Right.
So all I did was move one corner and one office down the hall. And when I moved into my previous office, that was me walking into or moving into my two predecessors ago. So I honestly don't know that I ever felt like it wasn't my
your
office.
I mean, it was, but like the setting.
There was still things from my
Books,
predecessors in there.
Files, and it was things that you didn't do. All you did was like move in your body. And take over what they had.
Right. And so I kind of worked within that space. Now it's like they just painted our walls. So our walls are completely bright white and new and clean.
You got rid of some old stuff.
We shredded out a bunch of documents. We filed a bunch of things and sent to storage. Mm-hmm. We had like a gajillion binders. I think when I would take them back down to office services, they were like, "Can you please stop bringing us binders?"
They're like, "Look, we don't have."
And we're not for profit. So to say no more, you know, then you know that you've like exceeded maybe the space that you have for supplies. So yes.
So a new office
has changed
your like the way you see things, how you feel,
and not just me. Even people who were very standoffish with the change, they're now kind of coming around and
you see
embracing it.
You see the benefit in the new scenery.
Yeah.
They almost have a different attitude.
Right. So like there's a lot of changes going on for the last maybe year and a half. Change overload. We're trying to kind of spread the change out a little bit. And now with since I oversee the finance department, two of the girls, actually, two that have brought it up to our attention have mentioned, you know, that they're overwhelmed by the changes.
A lot of changes too fast.
Yeah. And I had recommended a book that I never really read. I only saw it on YouTube, and maybe you might have heard of it before. Who Moved My Cheese?
You get the concept, though.
Yeah. So I explained it to them because they weren't 100%, you know, what it, like, they're like, oh, they were intrigued by it. Like, what is this?
Like, what is this?
Yeah.
For kids, but it's
so
not.
I explained, you know, you're a mouse. There's a cheese. And, well, I didn't call them a mouse, but I said there's a mouse and they've got their cheese, and every time they always know exactly where their cheese is at. So they eat and they survive and all that. Somebody comes in, grabs that cheese and puts it somewhere else, and they go berserk.
They can't. They don't know how to function.
They don't know how to function. They're like, oh my God, what's going on? What is this? Yes. So, basically, it's just it's surrounding change.
Yes. How to deal with change. How to cope
deal with change. And so then, you know, as a mouse, because, or as an animal or even a human or whatever, we look for how do we survive. Mm-hmm. So you start getting creative and you look, oh my God, here's my cheese. So now cheese in a different location, it's a change, but now you've evolved and you've figured it out.
So essentially it's, you need to adapt to the change. If not, you don't survive.
You don't survive. So anyhow, one of the girls read the book, and she recommended it to her coworker, which is also still in the finance department. And then they came back and they were very thankful about it. They were like, I'm glad I read the book. It's very helpful with this change. And I honestly, I went back and I said, I'm proud. I'm very proud of you. I did. I said that to her because to make such a shift in mindset like that is exactly what you need to be able to continue to move forward.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I said, listen, the one thing that you have to know, or that we all know is, or should know, is that change is good. Change is what helps us become stronger, wiser, and just how growing.
Right.
Without change, you're just gonna stay in the same
You'll
place.
never
Never grow, and that's it.
And sometimes more than not, it's forced change.
It's forced change.
Like you just can't do it within yourself to change.
Right.
Life has to do it for you.
Yep.
That's
There's
awesome.
a couple of changes in life. So
Yeah.
okay, so that's actually, I just told you 3 of them. So Atomic Habits by James Clear. Who Moved My Cheese? I can't tell you who it is, but you can probably Google it. We'll leave a link below. And the other one, Deep Work by Newport. Sorry. And then now, as far as so some other ones, Blog Like a Boss by Amy Landino, and Crush It and Crushing It by
Gary V.
Yeah, Gary V. Those actually, I listened to them in Audible. We both listened to them, and they're very good. They're kind of self-explanatory. And currently, I am reading Good Morning, Good Life by Amy Landino and The Daily Stoic by Ryan Holiday. And what I like about The Daily Stoic is that it's just a one-pager. You read it one thing a day, or one page a day. And so like the month of January, it was based on clarity.
Mm-hmm.
So anything that that touches on clarity, you had a page, and he has it in little chunk size bit pieces that it takes maybe 5 minutes, you reflect, and you're like, okay, I can apply this to my life.
It's interesting the way he did that book, how he does it. It's if you read it after a while, you'll start to be impressed.
Yeah. I mean, it's a daily devotional type of thing.
Right.
But it's on Stoicism.
Mm-hmm.
And
it gives you history too. It's pretty cool.
Gives you history. So this is like philosophy.
Exactly.
And at first when I was I was buying the book because it was recommended actually by Amy Landino. I was like, how's that really going to help me? I'm like, it's just, how can you fit in such like valuable information in just one sheet or one page?
Mm-hmm.
And it does, because they're very short, straight to the point, and you can actually apply it to yourself.
Right.
Let
me add to that real quick. The daily devotionals. Look, people don't see value in it, and maybe you didn't see value in it because it's like, it's 1 page a day. Like, what is that really?
What am I going to get out of it?
The thing is, if you do it daily, and after a certain while,
it adds up.
You adds up, but you see the benefit after a while.
Mm-hmm.
You won't see it immediately because we all need that immediate effect. Something immediately. It needs to change me now, or if not, this doesn't work.
Right.
After a while, it does.
It does.
You got to stick with it.
So what Amy is doing? Listen to me, Amy. She's my friend.
She can be. You could shoot her an email or something.
Sure.
Well,
sometime. Well,
maybe I will. I'll say, hey, you know what? My wife is a big fan, and
yes.
So maybe I'll do that, and
sure.
We'll see.
Okay, so
Anyhow.
What she does is, or what she's been doing is, she read The Daily Stoic last year, and now she's rereading it again. And what the purpose of that is so that she can see, this is what my mindset was then, and this is how I've grown.
I like it.
So that'll be the plan. I'll finish, continue reading the book,
mm-hmm.
and then next year I'll read it again. So what I've kind of done is I highlight, and obviously on the second year I'm going to know that what was highlighted were my key points,
right?
And then I can reflect on that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's it.
Real quick, Who Moved My Cheese is written by Spencer Johnson.
Okay, there we go.
Just so, and we'll have the link down below to these books, so you can, you should buy it. I mean, I recommend you buy it.
I have two more.
You have 2 more.
The Artist's Way. By the way, the majority of these were recommended by Amy Landino. The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron, and she talks about how morning pages changed her mentality or her way of life. Basically, morning pages is you get a notebook, and every morning you sit down and you just write everything and anything that's on your mind. So it's not meant to be like a to-do list. It's meant to be more of like
A dump.
how are you
Dump
feeling?
all your thoughts.
No, yes, but like it's for me, it's easy to quickly write down. I got to do this, this, and this, and this, and this. The moment I get up from bed.
Mm-hmm.
But it's beyond that. It's like thinking, okay, today I feel so, and this is why. Or last night I went feeling kind of down because of something that happened at work, yada, yada, yada. Or all of a sudden something crossed your mind from like a week ago and it's on your mind and you want to capture it on there. And it's not meant to be shared with anybody else. It's just meant to be you like just pulling those thoughts and feelings, not your to-do list.
Right.
Onto paper.
Right.
And then just, nobody to judge you because you're not going to share the book with anybody. And you may not even read it. You can choose or you can opt to not read it unless you want to read it like a time capsule, maybe 10, 15 years from now.
The purpose, I think, is what it sounds like.
It's just to
let it out.
Let it out. Exactly.
Let it out so you don't have to carry it
exactly
on.
Yeah. The moment you put it on the paper, it's
out of you.
It's out of you.
That's interesting.
And then another one that I read was the 5 a.m. Club. That one was through an app, actually. The Headway app.
Yeah.
Own Your Morning, Elevate Your Life by Robin Sharma. And that's pretty self-explanatory.
Yes, he also Robin Sharma. He's another lawyer. He was a lawyer. He practiced for a little bit. Yeah, he practiced for a little bit. He's the one that wrote The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. I think that's the title. And he was a lawyer who practiced for a little bit and then gave it up.
So are you gonna turn into a monk?
Absolutely. No, not a monk, but I will hang it up as far as practicing one day. Just because law is just, it's very adversarial. It's very adversarial. The client comes in, they give you all this their story, and then it each one of them gives you a story, and it's sort of like it takes a hold of you, because now you have to take their case on, and then every time you speak to them, they tell you their story. It stays with you, and after a while, it weighs on you. So anyhow, I'm doing the dumping right now, not on paper, but via the microphone. But look, all these books, folks, we're gonna leave down in the links below, so that you can, if you want to, you can buy them. I suggest you do. These are books that change our lives. It's books that we'll continue reading, because they're beneficial.
Yep. And if my team comes back and asks me they just text me asking me what is the book that I was reading recently.
Which one?
The Daily Stoic.
Okay.
And sure enough, they're gonna go ahead and get it. So if they read it, I'm very, very proud of them. Right.
Absolutely. So look, it sounds like people are benefiting from the books you are referring, and so look, these are good books.
Yeah.
Take advantage of them. They will change your lives. Be open-minded. Don't be like, oh, that book, it's too long. It's too this, too that.
If you feel like the book is too long, I highly recommend doing Audible.
Yes. Do Audible. My wife's Audible just gave us her, what is that, by the way?
It's a reminder that we need to clean up.
So she has like a reminder, like every hour, it seems like.
No, it's not every hour.
Her phone will like speak out and say, time to clean up, or get in the shower, or make breakfast, or make dinner.
No, it's not that bad.
It's bad.
If there's anything that I've learned from any of these self-help books, is that you cannot rely on your memory. You have to write it down, or this is my personal assistant.
It is, folks.
This is the one thing that tells me, like, hey, you better get up because of this, or hey, you better clean up.
What app is that, by the way? Is it a Google app or no?
Well, we have another. It's called Do It Later.
Do It Later. So this
on
app,
Android.
I'm telling you, folks, it goes off look, we're in the car and I hear like, get out and get that. Yeah, man. It's like, get out and get gas. I'm just, and I get bothered right here, man, because I don't want to hear nothing. I don't need to hear anything that tells me what to do. Actually, this
is the app that sends you daily text, like a whole paragraph, a honey-do list.
Every morning, and it's already like clockwork. She automatically uses this app to send me messages, notes on honeydews.
All right. Well, we
Honeydew
can
this.
discuss this on.
Yeah, we'll talk
another-
about this later, folks. Listen, if there's any other books that you've read that you think is beneficial to us or to any other reader who may be reading the comments or watching this video, please leave it in the comment box. Share what you think about the books that we've spoke about if you've read them. If not, click those links. Please press like, subscribe to our channel, Productive Bunch, and we'll see you next time.
In case you're wondering, you get to hear these the podcasts on iTunes.
Yeah, so our podcast, the T Podcast, we have it on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, Buzzsprout, Castbox, you name it. This podcast is on those platforms.
So when we say we'll see you next time or we'll hear you next time, don't I hope you don't get confused.
It's because we put it on YouTube, so you get
Yeah.
to see us on YouTube, and you get to hear us on the platforms too. So,
I think that's it.
yeah. All right, folks. God bless, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.